So next one is a dynamic panel discussion with Sunita Vedubotla, Divya Anand, Aditi Murthy, Disha Chabra, and Aditi Chaturvedi. They'll share their experience and insights on unique challenges of product management and solutions paving the way forward. So everyone interested in product management, this is your go. So try and listening to them. So I call upon all the speakers onto the stage, please. So put your hands together for next panel.
Hello. 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 Check, check. Hello. Hello. Are we audible? Can you hear
Check.
me? I think I'm audible.
At the back.
Hello. Louder. How are you today? Yes. Ready to go? Are you all listening? You know what? This is not what I say. This is what Kate Murphy says in her book. So have you heard about a book? Are you listening? Or you are not listening? This is a very good product management book in case you want to look forward to. She covers a lot of good aspects about listening. So careful listening has become a challenge, and it is impacting many of us in different ways. So let's carefully listen to all the emotions, incentives, and all the perspectives this panel is giving us today about product management. Let's put our hands together to our 4 panelists here. So we have Divya Anand from Uber. We have Disha Chabra from Uber. We have Aditi Murthy from HackerRank. And I have Aditi Chaturvedi again from Uber. I'm the moderator for this session. I'm also from Uber. So, what does it mean to mirror our brain waves to understand product management? Let's gear up ourselves for this engaging session today. And we'll have a lot of time for all of you to ask questions. I want to become a product manager. I'm already a product manager. How should I go? Or I don't want to be in product management. Whatever comes to your mind, we are here to help you out. All right? All excited? No Josh? Boring sessions? How are you guys? All right, let's hear from them what's unique about each one of them and what makes them unique in their own perspective. What makes you, you. So we'll start with Divya.
Okay, so most of you may have read my bio, and Sunita has also introduced me. What makes me me is I get my best creative ideas, whether it's about products that I build or books that I write, when I'm hanging upside down.
You want to ask her to try doing that now? All right, let's move to Aditi Murthy.
My unique USP is I have hyper flexible shoulders, so I'm a good hand contortionist. I'm happy happy to show my hand contortions at the end of the
Yes.
session for those who are
No, we want to
interested.
see it now, right now.
No, I'm
You see this? Oh. All right, next, our unique USP coming from Disha Chabra.
Yeah, I think I'm actually a single parent child. And, when I was 6 days old, my father said he did not want a girl because girls are useless. And here I am today. I think this is important because of the forum we are all in. Because many people told my mom, you're a single child, don't educate your girl so much, you won't find a groom. And all her life, she was only tense whether she'll be able to find a groom for me. And I'm happily married. But I also, as a single parent child, realize men are important in our life, but they are not essential. We can survive without them.
All right, the next introducing Aditi Chaturvedi for her USP.
Hello, everyone. So I really love philosophy and, just different kind of philosophies. I've been practicing Nichiren Daishonin Buddhism for about 14 years. And I love reading about spirituality, Gita and Ramcharitmanas and all of that. And try to find ways to apply it in our modern lives, in leadership, as women. So yeah, that's me.
Okay, so we want to talk about their inspiring career journeys in product management. I want to go first with Aditi Murthy. Talk about your career in product management and we'll know more about you.
I've had a rather circuitous path to product management. I started out as a undergrad in computer science, then I didn't want to do a traditional developer job, so I became a researcher at a think tank. I wanted to solve urban poverty problems, and then I got a master's in economics. And then I realized economics was so much math, I'd rather do something with math. Then I became a data scientist at a consulting firm. And then I realized I love business a lot. So I then became an analyst at an e-commerce firm. Then I realized, hey, being a PM is a good amalgamation of all of these things that I can drive customer and business value. So that's how I got into product management. So it's been quite a journey for me.
So in your perspective, what are the skills a product manager requires or somebody who's aspiring to be one?
I think being exceptionally good at the job you're in today is super important because you want people to give you an opportunity to do more. And product management is an amalgamation of so many different skills that you would need to get that product out into the market. So no matter where you are in the career journey, I think you need to deeply be curious about learning what you're doing right now, doing it exceptionally well, because that translates into being a good product manager in my view.
Okay. We'll again go with Aditi, this time Aditi Chaturvedi. We want to understand how was your career in the product management field and what's your success mantra?
Yeah, so I started my journey as an iOS developer. I did my MBA right after that and started working in financial markets out of college. I also did event management on the side and then moved to Uber in community operations where I really learned about the value of insights and problem solving and that organically helped me move to a product manager role. And currently at Uber, I look at our driver partners and courier partners from across the globe, try to understand their problems and see how can we help them resolve them quickly. And that's something that really give me a kick. So yeah, that's me.
Okay, probably if we have a lot of techies here. How many techies here? Wow. How many product managers here? Okay, how many aspiring product managers here? Okay, we have a very good mix here. Now I want to ask Disha to talk about her journey from a technical background to product management. And she's also going to elaborate on how does a product manager's life look like and what are the typical things they do in a day.
Yeah, I think when we all look back at our careers, we're able to connect the dots. But for most of us, careers actually start from what is the most highest paying job out of campus. That's how it started for me. I mentioned earlier I was a single parent child, so by the time I got to my engineering, I realized my mom's bank balance was nil. And I needed, I topped the engineering, I needed sufficient money, I got like a very high paying job. And so that's how I actually got into a tech career. And I don't think so, at that point I had any idea what I wanted to become, because careers, at least back then, were all about how much money you're earning. So for 7 years, life was all about getting enough money, building a house, having enough money, and being able to live a luxurious life, something that I'd always aspired for. And then after 7 years, the usual question of marriage came up, and that's when I was like, okay, now if I, don't step back and ask myself, what do I want to be? This family is going to get me married, and I'm going to become, I wouldn't then have a choice. And so that's when, I went introspecting, and I realized that I'm not somebody who's comfortable just coding. No offense to it, but I felt I was more a people person. I wanted to more get into why I should be solving a particular problem over the other. And I just loved my interactions with all the business folks around. But I also realized that I needed a skill upgrade. It wouldn't come naturally to me. For some people, it comes naturally. And I also always aspired to do an MBA. So that's when, I got into a one-year MBA with IMCAL. My mom just gave me a 1 year. So again, I think life for all of us is like, we connect the dots and we can say, I chose it. But for a lot of us, life happens. So that's the point I'm trying to make, that some of these choices were made for me. And so IMCAL turned out to be wonderful. And again, when I got into that program, I was like, should I do consulting? And my mom was like, I don't want you to take a job that makes you travel. It will make you, again, less sellable in the groom's market. So then, product management in a product company was an obvious choice for me. The HR who hired me in my first company had moved on to Yatra. So I, reached out to her. That's how Yatra happened to me. Again, an accidental thing. But since then, I think I have always enjoyed in the last 12 years every day of my PM career. And I've never asked myself, is there anything else that I want to do? I moved on from the startup world into the global ecosystem, building global products now at Uber. But the point that I want to make is that sometimes choices are made for us, and sometimes we make those choices, but there's always an option to decide for ourselves if the choice is not working for us. I've worked with Paytm. I remember the most exciting night when demonetization happened. And we were asked to come into the office at 6 a.m. to start taking support calls. As an PM, I was like, is this what I did my MBA for? Am I supposed to now sit at a call center and take calls? But I think I learned a lot in that startup ecosystem where you need to get your hands dirty at everything while, talking to the CEOs every day. And I also learned a lot in the global ecosystem where sometimes, I do feel I'm a small fish in a large pond, especially having worked in like the startup ecosystem where you are every day, the CEO will just walk up to your seat and make you feel important. But then there are pros and cons, working in both the worlds. My life as a PM, of course, life as a PM is also very different when you're an entry level versus you're a senior person. Right now, my life is more about ensuring my team is successful, is set up for success. There are not distractions in their way. But back then, when I actually started my career, it was more around reaching the office only to know Dhruv Shringi was waiting for me, walk into his room, understand from him what he wanted me to do, throughout that day, and not walk out of the room until that thing was done. So life as a PM, I think the beauty is you actually get to get your hands dirty on everything, whether it's about writing a script, whether it's creating a Figma, whether it's a PRD, whether it's a deck, etc., etc., etc.
Nice. Okay. Now we'll go to a very, very different story. How Divya started her product management journey, and what is her wow factor so far?
So yes, I think a lot of you raised your hands when Sunita said, oh, do you come from a technical background? There are many aspiring PMs in the room. I think I'm here to say just one thing, and that is You don't necessarily have to be an engineer to be a product manager. My undergrad was in visual communications, which, if you've not heard of it, it means that I spent 3 years watching movies, making ad films. And then, of course, the question of money came up, which is how I landed up in an MBA. I stumbled into product management completely by accident. I wanted to work in a media company, and I went to one of India's largest media companies at the exact time that they said, oh, we have to get into online classifieds. They didn't have anybody else but a management trainee to make a PM at that point, so they let me become a product manager, and that's how I became a product manager. I even at one point thought about, oh, do I want to instead go into design? And then did a second master's in human-computer interaction, realized that product is what I want to do because I like being at the intersection of tech, of design, of problem solving and business, and that's how I stayed a PM even after that. In terms of wow factor, I think I've worked across categories, across kinds of businesses, but the one wow moment for me in my career will always be when I had a role which was not even theoretically product management, it was more product marketing, but very close to my heart because I was the lead for Kindle e-readers in India at one point in time, and as somebody who has loved books all their life, that product will just be close to my heart for that one reason.
And written books. Okay. So now probably all the techies might be thinking, how do I move to product management? And people who are in product might be thinking, oh, should I move to marketing? Should I move to business? What else should I do? So let's talk a little more about the transition into product management. Whatever you're doing today, how do I transition to a product manager role? So we will have Aditi Murthy talk about how do you find internal opportunities within the company that you're working out, and what can you do to move to a product management career?
I think we touched upon some aspects of this in the panel with Anurag and Chitra as well, but I always think careers are akin more to rock climbing than ladders, right? You have to, if you think about it, there is no one straight path to get to anywhere you want. You have to find slowly a hold, stabilize yourself, then evaluate your situation around, look up, look down, otherwise you're going to fall off, and then plan your next step. And I think that's very true in career transitions in general, but even more so in product management, because it's an, as I said, amalgamation of a lot of skills. When you're looking to move from another role internally, people are evaluating you for, firstly, the job you're doing today. For example, if you're a developer today, you need to be an exceptional developer for them to consider you to be doing more. You need to be a great analyst, adding key insights to the business. You need to be a great designer. That's when someone will say, hey, Aditi or Chitra or Sangeeta is able to do more, right? And the second aspect is, in the job that we have, we can add customer and business value. So I used to be an analyst. Every week, we used to look at customer metrics, and we used to find the key reason why some metric didn't move and what we could do to make it move. It was not my job, but that gave me delight. So when you display these internal traits, which are key to PMs, which is competence and customer obsession, asking for that opportunity when it comes by becomes much, much easier because you've already molded yourself into that role. So I think just two key takeaways is be great at what you do, and then think about the value you add to the business.
So don't wait for it, ask for it. Okay? So now, if some of you are thinking, oh, let me write GRE, let me go to IIM, let me do CAT, Disha will talk more about attaining a degree and then getting into product management.
Yeah, as I said, I think I personally felt that from a techie to a PM, I didn't feel confident in making that switch without an MBA degree. And for that reason, I went into my management program. Honestly, I think I probably remember 5% of that management program now, but what that program taught me was when there is a time pressure, how do you bring a team together to deliver? Like every day we were given assignments and we had to deliver as a team. So the soft skills kind of stayed with me. How do you present, in front of a classroom? How do you get your people together and rally around when there are deliverables? And when, I have to work on 2 case studies, how do I, organize my time, etc. So the storytelling, getting people together, the negotiations, all those skills are what like have stayed with me from my MBA program. And I think those were also the ingredients that I took when I started my PM journey. And when I started, from IIM, the kind of jobs that I was getting, there were not too many product openings that were coming to the 1-year program, primarily because I think the 1-year program had people of like 10 years of experience. So companies wanted to come and hire you for what you were already doing rather than try to give you like newer opportunities. So early on, I started networking, cold calling the alum network and saying, I want to get into product management. How do I do that? Meeting some of them in person wherever possible. I also started participating in a lot of competitions, which were like case study competitions, PM design competitions, so that I had like a bunch of things to show on my resume, carefully selecting the courses that I wanted to do, etc. And then, I was actually open. I think some of us have constraints. Some of us maybe have location constraints. Some of us, don't want to move companies. As a company, we like our companies. Some of us want to move functions. But what is important is to not have too many constraints when we are, you shouldn't be trying to become from a techie to a PM, try to change cities and not be open about it. My constraint was one, location, and two, being a PM. So I was open to getting into any startup as well. And that really helped because I think at the time when I joined Yatra was still, in that startup-y mode. And I actually got that job, at least the CV referred through the HR, as I mentioned. So those relationships that you build, even if you're trying to move out externally and not trying to be in the same company, instead of trying to cold call somebody in the other company, if you know somebody who's working in your company and talk about you and instill confidence that, hey, XYZ person is a great person working with me, wants to transition into PM, I know you're hiring, would you be willing to consider that? And I think the last thing I would also say is career should be seen as a career and not as my immediate next job change. I took a 25% salary cut when I moved from being a techie to a PM, which is unusual, but I think we all make our choices. And for me at that time, money had been important for so many years in my life, and I didn't want to give it more importance now that I was thinking about my career. So those would be some of the points I would have to say.
Nice. So all of you became product managers, internally, externally, MBA, whatever happened, all of you became product managers now. So is it complex? What are the challenges that you have to face in product management? Let's understand that also, right? Just probably becoming product manager was also rosy, right? Oh, I did my MBA, I'm a product manager in this so-and-so company. Is it all cool? Does it have complexities? Does it have any challenges? Let's hear Aditi Chaturvedi talk about some of the challenges we see.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one of the key challenges that we have is stakeholder management. So as a product manager, you have multiple teams to lead with influence. And what I mean by that is, you have teams like engineering, you have legal, you have marketing, you have operations, you have design, you have research, and all of these teams would have their own language. They would have their own distinct goals that they're chasing. So how can you best collaborate with these teams, get them aligned to the vision that you have as a product manager, and ensure that you get the kind of support that you need to be able to deliver? So that's one of the biggest challenges. To be able to solve that or to be able to navigate through that, I feel one of the strongest core skill sets that a product manager needs to have is understanding data and having a deep understanding of the problem that is at hand. For a PM, I feel that your data analysts or the data scientists should be your best friends, should be your best allies, because whatever we build is built on a hypothesis that this is what the customer probably wants and we need to address it. And to align these stakeholders, if you have data-backed hypothesis, you can get better support from them to be able to build whatever it is that you want to build and launch. So that I would say is the biggest challenge, to be able to navigate that, and having a strong hold of the problem statement is, your tool to be able to navigate it.
Nice. Okay. So product managers write long PRDs. Engineering says, no, I can't do this. Okay. Every day you sit in a conversation, the PMs come and say, I have 10 priority items. By next week, we want this to be done. Engineering says, no, we are not available. It will take 2 weeks, or I have dependency on XYZ team. Whatever happens, happens. And this goes on, right? So let's hear what challenges Aditi Murthy has to talk about in her product management life.
You girls may have heard that product manager is like the CEO of the product, right? That's a very common maxim that we have about product management. But if you realize a CEO or the true owner of the product does a lot more than understanding customer and writing PRD. You're writing updates, you're managing escalations, you're unblocking people, you're creating clarity, you're asking design, please aaj de do, nahi to, like your engineer will not start, or you're asking engineering, please solve this ticket, otherwise my CEO will yell at me. Like, you are doing so much more than the core product management job. And you won't realize how your time just gets sucked away. So at the end of the day, you'll reflect back and say, hey, I was supposed to write this PRD and it didn't happen. What do I do now? I think just like one of our core criteria or core jobs to be done is to prioritize the roadmap, our internal job to be done is to prioritize our time. So I spend a lot of time asking people what their mental model of prioritization is. What tools do they use? Because until you set up a system for your prioritization to get the most high leverage things done, you're not adding the true value. So I think that is, as a person and as a PM, one of the biggest challenges is to make sure you prioritize your time to add the most value to your team and business. So I think that's one thing that we all need to learn as we grow as PMs.
You know what this means? When you write your appraisal, self-input, you should know what is the impact. That's a common question all of you think about, right? So every day, every moment thinking how you are utilizing your time, is it creating the right impact for yourself, for your organization, is the key. And otherwise, don't just get sucked up into working 15 hours a day, sitting in meetings for 8 hours a day, and then feeling, oh, what is the impact? Did I really do something worthy or not? Okay, now we are all sitting and working in India, but building global products. So do you think Indians can build global products? What's your perspective on that?
I think I have spent at this point almost 10 years between Amazon and Uber, so I will have to say that people sitting in India can build global products.
You guys agree?
Having
Okay.
said that, I will say that it's not easy, because one thing that all of us, I think, have touched upon is the fact that you have to understand your customer. How do you understand a customer if you don't know about their cultural context? How do you understand a customer if you don't even know what product they're using and how they're using it, right? So for example, one of the products that I have worked on in my career is actually support on the Uber Eats app. Now, Uber Eats exited India within 2 months of me taking on that role, which meant that I couldn't even see what I was building very easily. So I have actually spent a lot of time, especially during COVID, when it was even harder for us to go travel, meet customers, even other internal stakeholders. I would keep ordering food to a friend who lived in the US so that I could test what I'm making, so I could see what the experience was like, so I could keep getting feedback on the product. To the extent that when I sort of changed gears and started working on other things, her kids still ask me, why don't you send us lollipops anymore? Why don't you send us cakes anymore? So I think that's one of the challenges which comes about from working on a global product. There is, of course, as Aditi already touched upon, the aspect of looking into data, and you will get a lot of insights from data. But honestly, especially whether it's global or not, it's very, very important to understand your customers, to understand the experiences they are going through. And therefore, you will always have to use the product one way or the other, and you'll have to find ways to do it if you're in a country where either your product doesn't exist or you don't know about the cultural context as much. And I rely a lot on my internal stakeholders from various regions to understand how people in that region expect certain things to work or expect things to be.
Okay. So So we talk about any moment I go ask somebody, hey, how is work? Hectic. This is what we hear. So, and there are a lot of goals on your head. You have to influence as a product manager, the number of people you have to influence is so high, but you still have to maintain your trust with them. You have to work with empathy without burning bridges. And as a woman, if you are strong, if you have a attitude, if you go, oh, she's too headstrong, yeah, she's a lot of attitude. How? So, Aditi, what do you think a product manager should do to balance trust and still work with empathy and make sure whatever adjectives are kept aside, but still you manage to get things done?
Yeah, well, driving empathy from stakeholders in the company is definitely one, which is around ensuring that, of course, we are able to understand, where the person is coming from, what their journey has been, and managing a team. But I would say, generally, I would like to reflect on what Divya had said earlier, that, one of the issues that global product managers really need or really face is being empathetic to someone, to our customers, across regions. And to be able to drive empathy and trust in what we build for that sort of customer segment requires a lot of times us to be in their shoes. So as I shared earlier, work on products which are earner facing or driver and courier partner facing. And one of the Uber values that we have, a cultural value that we have, which is my favorite, is build with heart. Right, so what we do there is, we have our leadership who has set such amazing precedents of this cultural value by taking trips, by doing deliveries, like our CEO also does deliveries, and really experience what the customer is going through. So that, because unless we do that with data, as we shared earlier, we'll have a lot of blind spots, right? We wouldn't be able to understand what the customer really is going through. And in fact, I have also taken some trips in Mumbai, where I live. And it was quite an eye-opening experience. And what happens out of that is, we document these problems, we try to understand how to solve these friction points. And at Uber, definitely there's a culture of really jumping in and ensuring that we're customer obsessed and really addressing these issues. So that helps us to drive empathy with our customers. The other thing that Disha was mentioning that she did in Paytm, which we do a lot, is go through hundreds and thousands of support tickets, listening to calls, sometimes in different languages, and really trying to understand what is our customer really going through, and ensure that we are building things which are addressing, those issues. So that's how I think we do it at Uber, to drive empathy for our users. And I believe that also makes the team empathetic with what we are building and align with the overall vision.
Cool. Okay, now how many of you use ChatGPT here? Wow. Okay. So do you think ChatGPT can do our PRD work? Do you really need a product manager? No? Yes? Okay, 10 years down the lane, right? We have 1 million plus product managers right now. So with so much of ChatGPT, Gemini, and I don't know how many more, Perplexity, you're using every possible generative AI tool that's coming up. Do you think future of product management exists? So all of you have aspired become product managers, but in 10 years, if we don't have jobs, what do we do if ChatGPT takes it over? Let's understand what Divya has to say about future of product management with so much of AI, ML, generative AI, everything coming up.
So I think what I'm going to say is, of course, true for ChatGPT, Gen AI, but it's also true for every technology that has come across through time, right? And which is that ultimately technology is a tool for us to do better. And I think this question, especially around Gen AI, comes up a lot with ChatGPT in a lot of creative fields as well, where people ask this question of, oh, they can just write the book without even needing anybody to think about it and so on. But I do believe that you need to use this as a tool Because you can, of course, go to ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to write a PRD for you. You could ask ChatGPT to come up with 100 ideas for you for problems that you solve every day. But at the end of the day, there is a component of critical reasoning, there is a component of imagination and problem solving that we possess as humans, which will only take you further, right? So for me, the way that I use ChatGPT in my day-to-day is I'm using it to brainstorm. If I could earlier think about, say, 10 ideas, today I will probably have 50. But when you go from the from the diverging aspect of idea generation and brainstorming to converging into what is the right thing to do, at that point I bring in my skill set of, okay, these are the 50 ideas, which one should we prioritize, which one should we go after, what does the data say, so on and so forth. And maybe someday there's going to be some kind of a super intelligent thing that could probably do all of this, but I don't think it's going to come in 10 years at least.
Nice. Okay. So you can still aspire to become product managers. It's okay. If you want to do MBA, if you want to do product management, internal moves, everything exists. Go ahead and be confident. We can still make good management careers. Probably we just have 10 minutes left, and I have a lot for these guys. I want to do a rapid fire round. Should we start? We will start with Disha. Okay? Each one has 5 questions, and they have to be really quick. Whatever comes to their mind have to be the first answer that comes to their mind. No preparation, impromptu answers, and let's see what they have to say. What's your favorite non-tech product?
My jogging shoes.
Okay, jogging shoes. Any more jogging shoe fancier? Okay, quickly on to your role model in product management.
Sundar Pichai.
Sundar Pichai. Okay, favorite tool in product management?
Calendars.
Wow, okay. And what's your favorite question in a product management interview?
How do you make a product accessible?
Okay, some of you were in the accessibility session. Probably you know the answer. One motivational quote from you.
The purpose of the life is to be happy.
Nice. I'll move to Aditi Murthy. What's your non-favorite tech product?
Diapers.
Diapers. All right. And who's your role model in product management?
Shreyas Doshi.
Shreyas Doshi. And the tool, product management tool?
I love Excalidraw.
Okay, and your favorite interview question?
Tell me how your product makes the business impact. So what metrics do you move?
Catch the word metric. Okay. And your motivational quote?
Don't let perfection be the enemy of progress.
Okay. Ladies, how many of you believe that you have to be perfect in everything you do? Wow. This is something for you to listen in. Okay, I'll quickly move to Aditi Chaturvedi. What's your favorite non-tech product?
So I've been very fascinated by self-driving cars, so Waymo. Not tech.
Your role model in product management?
Steve Jobs.
Favorite product management tool?
I love jamming, as you all heard, problem solving, so mural boards.
Favorite interview question?
Tell me about the time that you failed.
Okay. And one motivational quote from you?
So this is something I heard very recently. It, I think, applies to all of us. A lot of times in life we feel that what we're doing is different, it doesn't align with what others are doing. So for those moments when you really have to, stand and go through those tough journeys, the favorite quote that I've used is, "You're not crazy, you're just first."
Okay, so now we move to the rapid fire round for Divya Anand. What's your favorite non-tech product?
Magnetiles.
Okay, role model?
Julie Zhou.
Favorite tool?
Balsamic.
Interview question?
Tell me about a latent customer need that you identified and how did you go about creating a feature for it?
And the motivational quote from you?
Don't let criticism come in the way of your creativity.
Okay. So what we understood, every journey is unique and there is no set path for somebody to become a product manager. It's your urge to learn, it's your curiosity to figure out, it's your problem solving skills. It's about empathy, understanding the customers. So take charge of your careers, make your own path, understand it's okay to change careers, it's okay to navigate through complexities, and it's okay to be yourself. How many of you believe in this? All right, we'll take some questions, and I want to end this with a famous quote that I like: your voice and vision count. Argue like you're right, but also listen as if you're wrong. Anybody who knows who said this? This is a famous quote from?
I'll say it.
Uh-huh.
Adam Grant.
Okay, so who wants to ask the first question? Okay. We will go from her.
Hi, I'm Anusha. I work with a company called GHCI India. So I was hired as a project manager. My title is program manager. And I also report to the chief of staff for the entire tech team in the firm. So I do some of those strategic initiatives for the IT Enterprise BU exclusively. So what we lack in the team is product managers. I say IT Enterprise, the team's called as systems. They
Jump
do
to
a
the
lo-
question, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, context.
Yeah.
It's just the thing is that we lack product managers, and the team does a lot of product development also. There are two challenges when we try to recruit or when we try to get product managers into the team. One is the engineers themselves are used to doing all the work. So they're not open to delegating or trusting the product manager to drive a lot of the work. And the second challenge is when the product managers or people from the market who are used to doing things in a certain way join in, they find it very difficult to adapt to this kind of a culture where they have to bring in a change, use the systems that exist over here, and then make that impact or make a difference to convince the engineers. So any advice or any similar situations you've faced?
Divya, you want to pick it up?
Yeah, I can take this one. So I think this is a common problem, by the way, that PMs face. It's not necessarily just because you don't have PMs before. We have touched upon empathy a lot in the panel. One aspect of empathy also includes getting the trust of your stakeholders. So even in a company which has a PM culture, it's not necessary that just because you have a roadmap and you have 5 engineers assigned, they're going to pick up whatever you tell them to pick up, right? So you will have to paint a vision, and they will have to trust you, which means you have to, the same way that you would walk a mile in a customer's shoes, you have to walk a mile in your EM's shoes, in your engineer's shoes, in your designer's shoes, to be able to explain to them that joint vision of what you're trying to create, what metrics it will move, and then work with them to get there. So I think it comes down to that relationship building and getting them to trust you, which sometimes also comes as a collaborative process where you launch something, they see the results, and next time they're more inclined to trust you. And that's the best way to go about it, at least in my opinion.
Okay, we can take 3 to 4 questions, and lunch is waiting. Everybody, I don't want to block you from lunch. Quickly from her. 30 seconds to ask the question.
Hi, I just wanted to know, like, as a technical program manager or product manager, you are in this flux, and I think you already touched upon it, but there's always, it based on where you are positioned in the hierarchy, whether you're reporting to an engineering manager or the product manager, it sort of forms a team, right? Like, oh, you are part of the engineering team or you are part of product team, and then you have to, like, always, sort of explain yourselves that, I work for a product and it's not part of just the engineering or the stakeholders, but everyone thinks that I am in their team and not, like in the opposite person's team, and I'm trying to, get more out of them, and there's always this.
You want to take it up? Yeah.
I think this goes back to the value your job delivers is for the customer. So no matter what team, what part. And it's helpful to remind everyone of that fact every once in a while. So every time you feel like, hey, there is a gap that someone doesn't think you're in their camp, just remind everyone we're all in the same camp. We are all here because we are being paid to deliver value for the customer. So I have found this to be very useful in life when people say engineering can't pick this up, design can't do this. I'm like, do you feel like what you're doing is delivering value for the customer? That always resets I think, the boundaries, at least for a few weeks, and then we're back to square one, but it helps for those few weeks.
Okay, where's the next question coming from? Okay, we can go with you. Everybody can talk to the panel after the discussion. We'll just do few on the stage. So don't get worried if you're not being called out.
So great session so far, and I'm Sinta, and I'm currently a product manager at PayPal. So being a product manager for over 4 years, one of the problems that I've faced daily, right, would be more around how do I overcome imposter syndrome. That is something that a product manager has to go through in their journey. So what would be your tip? Like, it's an open question to the panel.
Yeah.
Would love to know some tips.
You want to pick it up? All right, okay.
So I think not only have I faced or been in imposter syndrome a lot, and but there are a lot of interviews that I've read where everybody goes through imposter syndrome, and there was some discussion even yesterday on this. But I feel what worked for me is one, definitely getting coaching or mentoring or some sort of anchor which can help you reset your philosophies in life. I think that's definitely one. Second, I feel to really reflect on, acknowledging, okay, maybe I'm at X level today, okay, factually. Where do I want to be, right? And really writing your story down. That where do you want to be and what steps are you taking to get to that? So what is your truth? That you need to be very clear on, and it requires a lot of reflection, and that's why I said, some anchor definitely helps, but doing that reflection so that you also get a reality check that, oh, is this a negative voice that's talking to me, or is it really the reality? Like, you have to understand what's the truth, and that takes a lot of reflection, and really taking steps, micro steps every day towards where you want to be, that helps. And yeah, if at a very critical juncture, say there's a meeting and imposter syndrome is hitting you, just telling yourself, what's the worst that can happen? It's okay. We'll figure. Whatever happens, happens, we'll figure. So that part is important. I feel that's helped me. Yeah.
Living life is more important than building products. Okay? First is you, yourself, your life, your energy. Then you build good products. All right, one last question probably for this
Sorry,
show.
we're at time.
Okay, one last question. The last one.
It's okay, I'll take
Yeah.
questions.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, ask. Last one. You want the mic? What happened? Yeah, I think.
So, as a solution engineer, I've always seen the PMs are always under a lot of stress because if anything goes wrong, all the blame is almost put on you guys. So, like, if I would ever want to make that shift, how do you manage that stress? How do you manage that pressure? And, how do you create that balance as to why it's like, a good place to be at?
Take it.
Yeah, I think even when we're on the stage, I'm sure a lot of us are thinking about what Slack messages have we all got to respond to, what decks remain uncompleted. I think you just learn to live with it. First, you learn to live with unread emails, then you learn to live with unread Slacks, then you learn that, okay, things can wait. College assignments waited till the last minute. This can also wait till the last minute. And then I think you learn to cut off. So for me, like, for example, there are hours in the day, unless sky is falling, I will just shut off. And that just keeps me going, including weekends, like family time, doing things that I love, help me come back again refreshed on a Monday. And don't take things personally. If you take like, oh, this is a failure on me, you'd always feel that pressure and maybe also the imposter syndrome. Just don't take things personally. The purpose of the life is to be happy.
All right, signing off. We just have one word: shine on. Do what you like. Be happy.
Thank you so much. What a session it has been. A to Z about product management. So anybody who's interested in product management or anybody who wants to be, they are the go-to people for you. So put your hands together for this team. Thank you. So to present them a token of appreciation, I call upon Lakshya and Ashwini, please.